So today we will work with the worksheets. So just like how we work with workbook objects, we'll also look at what are the things that we can do in our worksheets. We can add a sheet. We can delete a sheet. We can copy a sheet. We can move a sheet. What else? We can hide a sheet. Yes. And we can count the number of sheets.
Rename a sheet.
We can name a sheet. Anything else we do with the sheets?
Add, delete.
Add, delete, copy, move, hide, count, name.
Color the sheet.
Color the tab. You are coloring the tab of the sheet, right? Yeah, I've not done it myself, but we can look for the code for that if you want. Anything else?
Can we consider protection of a sheet?
We can protect a sheet. Why not? Okay. So let's look at it one by one. Can you help me in understanding how we will add a sheet? This is something that we have done also before.
Worksheets.add.
Worksheets.add, and then if you want, you can give some arguments to it, right? Worksheets.add, and the arguments are for a certain sheet, after a certain sheet,
And count.
or a type of a sheet. And if I don't give, and if I don't mention anything, then by default it will add in a particular position, and it will do 1, and the type is XLS sheet.
Yes.
Okay. How will I write delete a sheet?
Worksheet.delete.
Worksheets.delete.
And sheet name.
You need to
delete.
mention the
Name,
worksheet that you want to delete.
Worksheets
sheet
bracket
name and
sheet
delete.
name dot delete.
Absolutely. You can't just say worksheets.delete this time. You will have to
It will
mention
delete
the
all the
position.
sheets.
Yes. You have to either mention the position or you have to mention the name of the worksheet. So it will become worksheets, the name of the sheet or the position of the sheet. Let's say 4.delete, or it would be worksheets, whatever is the name of the sheet. Let's say sheet 5.delete.
Delete.
Right, and the positions are always counted from where? The position is always counted from your left hand side. So this is my sheet 1, this is sheet 2, this is sheet 3, this is sheet 4. This is a 4th position sheet. So when I say 4th position, I am indicating sheet 3, and when I say sheet 5, I am indicating the sheet name as a sheet 5. So I am indicating this particular sheet. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now when you want to copy, how do you copy a sheet? So for example, if I said, yes, go ahead.
Worksheet and sheet name dot copy.
Absolutely correct. Worksheet, the name of the sheet, and dot copy. But what about pasting? Where are you pasting it?
It will be saved in clipboard because.
Clipboard? No, it doesn't get saved in clipboard. Let's say if I wanted to macro sheet, okay? So if I say macro, sorry, I have bad cold, cough, everything. So my excitement level is a little less today, okay?
Same here.
Very bad. Worksheets, macro, and let's say if I do copy and I leave it, I don't do anything. I'm just going to put it as a comment so that it doesn't delete anything. And if I run it F5, what has happened?
It's copied right now.
It copied where? Oh, it pasted also. You see, a book 1 got created and the sheet called macro got pasted over here. Okay, so if you're not mentioning anything, it copies the sheet and pastes it in new workbook.
New work.
It will open a new workbook and paste over there.
Correct, with the same name as the worksheet, same name of the worksheet. So I had written, I want macro worksheet to be there. So when it copied and pasted, it copied the name of the worksheet also along with the content of the sheet that was there. Right? Now, if I wanted to, it copies the sheet and paste in new workbook, not workbook, new workbook with the same name of the worksheet. Now, if I wanted to copy it in the same workbook, then how do you think I can mention that?
After copy, we have to write the name of the file
By using
worksheet.
argument after.
Using argument.
Yes, you're going to
Paste.
use the argument after that. So let's say copy. That even though, I told you that it helps us to understand whether this is going to work or not, but not 100% foolproof way in VBA. So even though it's not giving us anything, but if I would say copy, and if I say after worksheets, let's say first position worksheet, then what it does is, let me make this as comment. F5. Now after sheet 1, oh, this is my active workbook, right? Sorry. If I close this and I now run it, F5. What it did, it created in the same workbook, it created a copy of it after my
Sheet
first
one.
worksheet. Right? So when you are giving the name of the worksheet after or before, then it is going to create the copy of the worksheet in the same workbook which is the active workbook. Right?
Ishali, what is this after and then semicolon and equals to?
Oh,
You
you
use
didn't watch the
position, right?
video? Yes, I use the position. Faisal, you didn't watch the video of last class?
I haven't got it as of now.
You haven't got it as of now. So what is this? This is basically, we are saying there is a method of copy, and how are we copying, or so giving some arguments of how that method is to be done. For
Okay.
example, over here we are saying copy it and paste it after sheet 1. So we are giving some instructions. So that argument assignment, when you do, it is always done with the colon and equal to.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And now what about move? Move is almost going to be the same thing as your copy. Let me mark a note
But
over here.
maybe it will delete the copied work.
No. It doesn't delete. Move is like a cut and a paste, whereas copy is copy and a paste. So it leaves a copy, and move will cut the from existing place and move it to some other place. Not delete
The
per se,
previous
but
one will be cut.
yeah. It is similar to your cut and paste when you do a for value.
Mhm.
Okay. So again, if I have to move, so when you're moving, you have to give where do you want to move, right? So I can put something like this, worksheets macro. Instead of this, we can move. Let's say I want to move before worksheet 1, right? So I'm just going to make this also as a F55. So now with that macro sheet has moved before the sheet 1. So I've moved the sheet, right? So we've copied the sheet, we have moved the sheet. Now, when it comes to hiding, like when we were discussing last time, I told you hide is not a method, rather it's a property. So hiding happens to work with the property of visible. Okay. So if I write worksheets 1.visible equal to true, right? Or I can say it is equal to false, or I can say 3 arguments you can give, or you can say Excel is very hidden. Excel very hidden. Okay. Visible equal to true, visible equal to false, visible equal to Excel very hidden. Now, what will be the effect of these 3? So I've used 1, 2, 3, which is a position. So this is position number 1, position number 2, position number 3, right? Now in position number 1, I've said visible equal to true. So what do you think will happen?
It will be visible.
Nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen,
Nothing and hide.
right? It will be visible. And let's see what happens to 2 and 3. So if I run it, F5, 1 is as it is. 1 was what? Macro. 2 and 3 are not visible anymore, right? What was 2 and 3? Over here, you see there was macro 2 was there,
Macro 2 and sheet 1.
sheet 1 and macro 2 were there. So macro 2 and sheet 1 are not visible anymore, right? How do you unhide a sheet in Excel?
By selecting and right click on the sheet.
By right clicking,
Right
and
clicking,
then you
yes.
have
Unhide.
but unhide has macro 2 as well.
No.
No, it has only one sheet, which is sheet 1. It doesn't have the other sheet. Which is the other sheet that we had? This was Excel very good. So what does visible do? Visible will make your sheet visible if you put it as true, will make it invisible or hidden if you make it as false. But even if you make it as false, anybody can unhide it from Excel. But the sheet that you made hidden through Excel very hidden, this gets hidden by and unhidden by VBA code. So if I want to look at the third sheet, I'll have to actually write a code over here saying true and then run it. Now that I run it, now I can see the macro 2. Otherwise, it would not be visible. Only thing and I can unhide in Excel is the one that I've used a false on. So that's the difference between true, false, and Excel very hidden. Is it clear?
Yes, Ishani.
Yes, Shani.
Excel very hidden, we need not to use, right?
It depends. If you want to hide it from, let's say, when you're doing some automation project and there's a lot of rough work that you've done and that is supporting the work that gets calculated afterwards. So you want to save your file. You can't just simply delete it. But at the same time, you don't want the internal client or external client to see that particular sheet. So you can do an Excel very hidden.
So first we need to Excel very hidden that sheet, and then we can rename it by false or true so that we can unhide it, right? No, I'm just asking that. Suppose we have mentioned it as the Excel very hidden
Yeah.
property. Then the sheet has been hidden and it won't find while doing the unhide the sheet.
Correct.
How can we reopen
unhide
it?
it? Then you can unhide it. You have to go back to your code and make this as true and run it. When you run it again, then this part becomes true.
Okay.
Then it will unhide itself.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Shani, I have one
So sorry.
Mhm.
Can you please tell me the last part? Excel
The
very
Excel very hidden.
Yeah.
So when you say visible true, it shows the sheet, right? This hides the sheet, but can be unhidden through Excel, right? And in the Excel very hidden part, this hides the sheet, but can be made visible only through VBA. So if I have to unhide this sheet, what I need to do is go back in the code, replace the Excel very hidden with the word true and run the code. So when I do that, then it becomes visible. Otherwise, it's going to be hidden. And you can't even unhide it from Excel. Clear?
Yeah, clear, Ishani. Done.
Okay.
Clear. Yeah.
So sometimes, what you can also do is sometimes we write codes that we are sending to our clients and we have done Excel very hidden. Now, there may be someone probably who knows a macro over there and can just put Excel very hidden as true and can look at the code again and, activate the file. So what you can do is you can even put a password protection on your codes over here in the backend. Like simple example, if you see Solver is an add-in of Excel, right? It is created by Microsoft Office. So once I click on it, it asks for a password. If I don't have a password, I can't see the code behind it, which makes sense. Similarly, you can put a password protection on the workbooks that you are working on. So if you select your workbook, you go to Tools, Properties, and in Property, go to Protection. You can lock the project for viewing, put the passwords, click OK, save it, close it. Next time when you open it, just to show to you, I'm putting my name just in case I forget what's the password I gave. And I'm going to save it, close it. Now let me open it again. I'm going in the backend. Now you see all the sheets, nothing is visible to me. If I click here also, it is going to ask for a password even to see what are the number of sheets that are there or a module that's there. And only if I put a password, then it will open up the modules and the sheets, otherwise not. Clear? So you can password protect your codes as well.
If we are protecting our codes, then we shit. Shani, उसके codes run करेंगे क्या नहीं करेंगे? The codes will run or not?
Yeah. Codes will run. Codes
Okay,
will
okay.
run. So for example, you can't go to the codes and run from there. But if you had some kind of shortcut that you had given, right? Then all those
Yes.
things will run.
Okay, okay.
This is only for the protection that, okay, nobody should know what kind of coding we have done.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Excel very hidden. Now count the number of sheets. This is going to be simple. If you have to count how many worksheets I have worksheets dot count. Then name a sheet. Now there's nothing called rename. Like when you had asked me for this thing, you said if I want to rename. So we don't rename anything. We just name it. So if I wanted to name this macro 2 worksheet that we have, macro space 2 in the bracket, all I have to do is worksheets, mention the name of the worksheet. In our case, it's macro space in the bracket 2, dot name, and give a proper name to it. Okay. Let's say we want to name it as sheet 6. I'll name it as sheet 6, and that's it. So once you run it,
Shani, why didn't we mention column with it?
where?
After
Why
name.
name?
Name, see, colon does not typically come in properties. Colon and equal to comes when you're working with methods and when you're giving arguments of the method. In properties, it will never show up. So move, copy, all these are methods. Add is a method. And then you're saying after or before or how many sheets you want to add, those are the arguments of that method. Okay,
How would
for
we
property.
know that we need to mention it or not? I mean, okay, you are doing so, we are understanding, but when we are doing, how would we know that after this we need to use a colon and
Okay.
syntax that?
So typically, when it comes to properties, you either assign a value to a property or you extract a value from a property, right? So for example, when you're assigning, that is the only time your confusion would be there when equal to sign is there. Now, when you're assigning it, like I said, we don't assign anything to a property. So initial assignment never will have a colon equal to. So with, like, for example, if you look at dot move and before, with dot move, there is no equal to sign. With dot copy, there is no equal to sign or a colon equal to sign, right? It is after you've mentioned the method and you're mentioning the next argument of the method, then it will be used. So do you see me using any kind of argument to dot name?
No.
No. So there's not going to be any colon equal to.
No.
As it is when it's property, colon equals to don't come. When it's method, and you see that when you give a space after method, some argument is there, only to assign that we give colon equal to.
Okay. And one more thing that in the previous question we hide the sheet. You give the example of visible term, right? So okay, for to hide worksheet we need to use this argument of visible. So how many types of arguments there in which we need to this additional term word like visible?
So it's not an argument. This is property.
Sorry,
Visible is a property.
Yeah.
Right.
So how would we know that how many terms are there, so that we need to know that for the hide sheet we need to use this word, for that particular one we need to this word.
So remember when we started with the objects last time, I told you the best place to visit it is this
That
particular
website, right?
website. Yes.
Yeah.
So anytime you're working, let's say for example, I wanted to know about this visible, right?
Hmm.
So this is worksheets. So I'll go down over here. Worksheet, worksheets, 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 worksheets object. Okay. So methods are given and properties are given. Visible is a property. So we go there. Returns set as a variant of values. And then if you, it is not showing this one. Strange. But typically it would show you in the syntax itself what are the things that you can do with this thing, like dot visible and what you want to do with it.
Okay.
Typically it shows, somehow it's not showing over here. Strange. For everything else, for example, if you want to talk about a method also, let's say add worksheets.add, right? So you see it is giving you over here before, after, count and type. What are the syntax? And then it explains, like it is explaining over here, what does before mean, what does after mean, it's optional, what is a data type, everything it's going to define in over here. All right.
Okay. My confusion was only this, that for the height command, to give the height command, we use the word turn very visible. So
Right.
and like this, if we want, if you are giving some another command, do we need additional command like visible or not? How can we that identified?
So what you can give after the object is your method or property. So that's a list you can find out over here.
Okay.
Okay. And like I said, typically VBA does a good job of also kind of giving us a hint what is possible and what is not possible. Right. So when you put, let's say, for example, the name of the worksheet, right, and you put a dot. So it's not giving right now. Hold on. If I see, that's what I was saying. Sometimes it feels like giving, sometimes it doesn't want to give. So if I do workbooks, dot, you see it gives you a list. What do you want to do? You want to work with active chart. So you get a list from where you can understand what I can give next to it.
Okay.
If this was a question. Does that answer your question? This is also another list that you can understand. Okay, with this object, I can do all this.
So when we are doing with the visible sheet, is it was showing the visible term in that list?
No, visible is not going to be there in the workbook, right? Because visible is not something that you can assign to a workbook. You can't make a workbook hidden.
Okay.
Right? All right. Now, when you are going to protect a workbook, again, workbooks, let's say macro dot protect, when you give a space, nothing is showing up, but it is a property. When you are going to search for anything on Google, always try to write the name Excel VBA. Don't ever say VB or VB, specifically not VB. So Excel VBA. And then if you type in, it can give you a lot of, good. So for example, if I want to protect a sheet without a password, protect a sheet. So if I say dot protect, this has been the sheet has been protected, but there's no password to it. If you want to unprotect, you use the word unprotect, right? And if I have to give a password, so even though in VBA it is not showing anything, but password is one of the argument of this method called protect. Okay, so if I want to protect it using a password, so I'll use the word password colon equal to, then let's say I'm giving this as a password. And if you don't give a password, then it goes without any password. And if you want to unprotect, right, then name of the sheet, unprotect. And if it's a what do you call password protected sheet, then again you will have to give a password to unprotected. Is it clear?
Yes.
This is how you will protect or unprotect a worksheet.
So basically, if there is any kind of confusion, we can take the help of Google by writing the complete syntax inside.
Yes, but always write Excel VBA. Just don't write
Excel.
VBA. It is
Yeah,
Excel
I
VBA.
wrote that. VBA is showing something else in view.
It shows a lot of things.
Okay, got it.
All right. Any other questions?
I have one question, Shani.
Yes, please.
When we have entered the worksheet macro while it was existing, after that we have created a worksheet saying that we have moved the macro worksheet before the sheet one.
Mm-hmm.
But we have made the first statement as a comment, not as an not as a macro statement.
Which one?
That when we have added a macro worksheet.
The copy part you're saying?
Yeah, the copy part.
Yeah, so I am commenting all my rows of executable lines to execute the next line.
My question,
Huh.
no, I understand that, but my question was, we have made this as a comment. If we have
Yes.
not made it as a comment, will it create a counter statement for the next step? Because we will be having two macro sheets over there.
No, you can't have the same name, right? You will never have the same name. Excel does not allow you to have a same name. So what Excel does, it named it what? It didn't name it macro. It made it macro 2. This was the name of the second one. So you can never have the same name.
No, my point was, will my codes will contradict each other, or
why contradict?
Because we have entered in the previous, but we have not entered the name as macro. We have not created the name. We have created a copy of macro. And we have not, in case we have not run it, we have run the macro after adding the codes, both codes. Then it will create a contradictory statement or not? Or will it automatically take as in macro 2?
It automatically takes as a macro 2. I didn't name it. This is not the name I gave. It creates by itself, because never ever you will have the same name in your Excel workbook, right? If I even if I create a copy of this one, let's say sheet 1, and I say create a copy, this will become sheet 1 in the bracket 2. So it does not allow you to have the same names, because that is not a possibility. The property is going to differ from a sheet to sheet, right?
Right.
So it happens automatically. So no contradiction is going to be there when I run the code.
Fine.
Okay. All right. Okay. When I was deleting this sheet, when I was deleting this sheet, this box comes up. Do you know what is this box called? Is it an input box or is it a message box?
You told us.
Yeah, it's an event, but this box is what category? Is it an input box or a message box?
Message
box.
Message box.
It's a message box.
Input box.
No, there is no place to type in, is it?
But we are giving command of the by clicking on delete.
But we are going to do some action on it, correct? But it's not an input box, it's a message box. So typical message box had what? It had an OK button. So it used to show you display, and when you click on OK, it will close down. But in this message box, it is expecting some kind of action to happen from our side. And based on that, it will do different set of activities, right? So how do you deal, or how do you create such a message box? This message box that you saw is with buttons. Button box. Yes, there are buttons on this one. But since this message box is going to return me an output, will give me an output which with I will further work, I want to save the response of that particular message box. So I'm just declaring a variable called response as it is going to be VB message box result. Okay, so dim response as VB message box result. And why I've written this thing, because typically when you have a message box like that, and depending on which button you're pressing, the output return is a number. Do you think it will be easy for you to remember? If I press yes, number is typically 1. If I press no, number is 2. If I press cancel, it's 3. Do you think it's going to be easy to remember?
No.
No. So once you save the, or you say that, okay, this this variable that will be there will be of the style VB message box result. What is the advantage? That when I say response equal to, it gives me the typical list of what could be the possible output in pure English. Like VB abort, VB cancel, VB ignore, VB no, VB okay. So we can easily understand and work with it. Okay. So that's the advantage of declaring it as a VB message box result. So over here, now your message box also will start looking like an input box. Why? Because I'm going to put a variable in front of it, since the message box is going to return a value to me. So message box, open the bracket. For example, you want to delete the sheet, right? Prompt, comma. So we have never worked with the button part. Now we are working in the buttons. These are the various buttons. You want abort, retry, ignore. You want, let's say VB yes and no. So we can put a VB yes and no. Then if you notice in that message box, there was the warning sign also. So we can add on buttons. We can put a VB, that is an exclamation sign. So we can have a VB exclamation. And if I close this and run it, this is how it's going to look like. So do you want to delete the sheet? This is a prompt, VB yes, VB no, the buttons, and VB exclamation, the icon over here. Clear?
Yes.
Right? Now, whether I press yes or if I press no, is there going to be anything that happens in this particular program?
No.
No.
So what do we need to do in order for some response to get?
We need to maybe put if condition that if
We
it is
need to
clicked,
put a
then
if condition, correct. So we'll put if response is equal to, let's say, VB yes, means the person has asked to delete it. Then I want to delete the sheet in which I'm working. How will I make sure I delete that sheet only?
Active sheet.
Active sheet.
Rename the sheet.
We don't have to rename the sheet, because see, when you are over here, you do right click and you're deleting, right? So which sheet is this? Arshad? Active sheet.
Work. Active sheet. Okay.
Active sheet. So active sheet dot delete. That's it. Right? Active sheet is a sheet which is active in front. And end if.
Shani, why don't we use worksheet dot delete? Active sheet is a new phrase, I think.
Active sheet, just like how, when you were working with the workbooks, I had introduced you to the terminology of active workbook, right? What is an active workbook? Active workbook is a book which is active in the front end, right? Similarly, no, that's okay. So similarly, like if I don't know which sheet is active, right? To use the worksheets, I need to know the position or the name. Now I don't know the position and the name where the person will be. So whichever sheet is active, and when you're trying to delete, this message should pop up. So we need to use the object of active sheet.
What?
Okay. Now, if I run it, it says, do you want to delete the sheet? And I say yes. Then again, this message came up, Microsoft Excel will permanently delete the sheet. Do you want to continue? So do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad thing.
It's a good thing.
Bad. This is
Good thing
bad,
for
right?
extra precautions.
No, it's good
It's
thing.
kind of
Yeah.
extra
For extra,
security.
a kind of extra precaution.
No, we don't want extra precautions over here. Think about it. You're sending your work to someone else. I automated a workbook for Genpack and I sent it back to you. So first you're saying yes, delete. Then again it's saying it's going to permanently delete that sheet. What will you press? Honestly, tell me, delete or cancel?
Delete.
Cancel.
You will cancel it. You're like, if 2 times somebody is asking you, really want to delete it? Do you want to delete it? Mentality is I'll cancel it. Now, I don't want to cancel. I really want to delete that sheet. Because again, I'll tell you, in the automation, I might end up in creating some worksheets in which there's just simple rough work which has been done to get to the actual output. Now, I don't want to leave it in place for anyone to look at it. Neither my team members, neither the clients that I'm consulting. So I need to delete them. But if I let that other message box come up, tendency is that the person will not delete it. So how do I stop the message box of Excel to come up? So for that,
Shani, 1 second, just one more question. We only give command for do you want to delete that sheet? Only we gave only one command. Then why did this second command came? We didn't give this, and we are running our VBA code.
that's what I said. Excel also has some codes in the backend, right? When you try to delete a sheet, that message box pops up by default.
Okay. So first is our message box, and second one is is from the Excel itself.
Correct, because when you said yes, it was going to go ahead and delete. And before delete, there is an event already put in Excel that asks you if this is going to permanently delete it.
Okay.
Okay, these are called, yes, Gunjan, absolutely correct. These are called display alerts. So if I want to if I don't want display alerts, I have to write application display alerts equal to false. What this does is disables the auto messages of Excel. So now if I do it, same process, function F5, do you want to delete? Yes. So it went ahead and deleted it. The second display did not come. Clear?
Ishani, just one question. Suppose we are running this, writing this code in this active worksheet, and we are using this command, and it says that yes, delete. So will this code which we are working this will also delete?
Yeah. If the code was there in that particular worksheet in the backend, yes, the code also gets deleted.
Okay.
Okay.
Ishani, one more thing.
Yes.
So in many practical scenario, I face the difficulty wherein I ask the macro to create a rough sheet and then I want to delete it. So I understand that there is a prompt that comes up from the backend saying that if you want to delete it or not. How should I allow the macro to select it rather clicking it manually? Is there a code for that?
No, you disable it only. Why do you want to enable it only? Disable it.
No, so will it delete the Mac sheet or it won't?
So you're talking about this display alert that Excel gives you, right?
Yes.
So if I don't want it to be working, we can disable it. Okay.
Okay.
So by
and
default, display alerts are at true. If I make it false, it doesn't show up.
it won't show. Yes, but
No.
but the deletion process will follow, right?
Yeah. That will follow
And-
because the
and-
command is there.
And if the display alert asks me to give some choice and by default the choice will always be a yes or no or cancel. So is there a way to build a code that allows to pick only one option every time rather than I manually do it?
You're talking about the message box you are creating?
No, the one that Excel is showing up. So for instance, save as or save, it asks me 3 options, and I always want the macro to be built in such a way that it always select save or cancel or save as or something like that.
See, all those things, I don't think so you can automate for all the display alerts. It is not going to be possible because all display alerts have different buttons on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if there is something that I want all the time to happen, then again you have to write a code for it. In the sense, what I understand what you're asking is that if a display alert comes up, I want a predefined answer that I want to
Yes.
input and it gets done. But again, all display alerts are going to be different. Like the one you said right now, we had delete and cancel. If you try to do a save as, then it's altogether different. It is save as, cancel. If you try to close a workbook, right? So how will you don't
So
know the answer to that. Probably.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was trying to build a macro wherein it saves the Excel in a certain place, and I always needed that file to be saved in a different name with a date. It's a date and time.
Okay.
So I do a save as and rename it, and then I have to click save, yes or no, or cancel. So every time.
But if you disable the alerts on the top, and when you've done a save as in your program, it will not ask you.
Okay. And the action will automatically be performed.
Yes, it will not even ask you because you've disabled them.
Okay.
So the second time when it goes and asks, are you sure, and cancel and all, that won't come.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do a quick code.
Sunny, one question.
Yes, and Kshitij also has a question. Yes, Amit.
Like we have mentioned, disable these alert in this code where we are deleting the active window. So will this disabling the alert, automatic alert, will work in all the automatic alert, or in this code only, like
For only this one. For only this code. So what Amit is asking, let me rephrase, this application display alerts that I've written in this program, will it disable all the alerts that ever come or only in this particular program? So this is going to be only in this particular program. Okay. However, I can put it on the top, just like how you had put option explicit. And if I say application.display alerts equal to false, then for all the programs, it's going to disable it, because this is going to work like almost like a global command for all the subs that are written here.
Okay.
All right.
So is it advisable to use to apply this disable alert?
I don't apply it globally. I would apply locally to a certain program in which I am running it. But I don't want to display everything. I don't want to disable everything that Excel has to show as an alert. So typically, I would not do this part. I would only disable it in a particular problem. Okay, Kshitij, you had a question?
Yes, Ishani. Just wanted to ask this dim response as VB message box result. So this VB message box result, it's a kind of a data type?
Yeah. It
For
can only
specific-
hold, for message box only, it can hold only 7 values. I think it only has 7 values that it can store in it. It's either going to be VB, yes, VB, no. In a form of a number is what it stores.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do this question. You ask a user if a new worksheet is to be added to the workbook. If the user says yes, then add the worksheet and also ask for the name, like change the name of the worksheet with the user given name. So what you have to ask? Am I audible to all?
Yes.
Okay, Shani.
So what you need to do is, when the program runs, first a message box should pop up saying, do you want to add a new worksheet? Yes or a no or a cancel, right? Or you can put just yes and no. And if a person says yes, then a new worksheet should be added. And then another box should come up, which should ask the user to enter the name of the new worksheet. And once the name is given, assign that name to the new worksheet. All right. So I'm just going to copy this and put it in the.
So you're trying to add name to the workbook. Do we need to enter input box?
Adding a name to the worksheet. Yes,
Sorry, yeah.
because you are asking for an input from a user, right? You want to ask the user what is the name of the new worksheet. So it's going to be an input box, correct?
Nishani, if you don't mind, can I ask one problem that I'm facing right now
Sure.
regarding VBA? So
Sure.
there is an Excel file that I am creating right now, wherein I want the macro to do a filtering in the data,
Mm-hmm.
but only if there is no filter in it. So I'm not able to create a code wherein it identifies whether the whether the data file has a
Filter or
filter
not.
or not.
Not even I don't know. Hold on. I'll do some research. Hold on. Okay, you work on my question, I work on your question.
Okay.
How to identify. So, Faizal, very easy way.
Yes.
So, whichever is your sheet, like I did on active sheet, whatever is your name of the sheet, dot autofilter mode. So, this autofilter mode gives you a value or an output of true and false. So, for example, over here, I put a filter, right? So, when I run this, it will give me true because the filter is there. And if I remove this filter and I run this thing, it is giving me false. So depending on, you will have to put an if function that if, let's say, it returns a value of false, means filter is not there, then do this set of activities, otherwise leave it.
Okay. Active shift dot auto filter mode.
So it could be active sheet, or if you are applying it on a specific sheet, the name of that worksheet.
Yes.
Worksheets, the name, and then auto filter mode, and if function.
What does this object of auto filter mode does? What is
This checks whether the filter is on or off. So it returns you a value of true or false. If it's there, filter is there, it returns true. If filter is not there, it returns false.
Okay, got it.
Sure. Ishani, the sheet which will be generated, it will be active one, right?
Yes. So as soon as you add a worksheet, it automatically becomes your active object.
Active one, yeah. So that active we can rename it.
Yes.
So I think can put be little up so that I can see the syntax. Just for rename.
Name. It's not rename. It's just name.
No, yeah, name. Yes. 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 I think done, Nisani.
Okay. Send it.
Let me see. Let it go.
Why do you want to add after a certain sheet, Shweta? I didn't ask you to add anywhere.
It's already open, so I thought after that only I will open.
It could be anywhere, right? And secondly, both Shweta and Pratibha, I had asked you to ask the name of the sheet from the user, but you both of you have given your own names. Now the problem, if you run this program again, it will give you a subscript out of range because you can't name a sheet which is practice sheet again as a practice sheet. Like there cannot be two sheets in your workbook which is named the same. Okay, so where you are writing the name of the worksheet, you guys should be putting an input box over there.
Okay.
All right, rest everything is fine. Pratibha, is it clear?
Yes, Ishani.
Okay.
Ishani, I'm getting runtime object error.
Runtime object.
It is giving me option of yes, no, and cancel. After that, while creating a new worksheet.
After creating a worksheet?
Yes.
Can you copy paste your code or can you share your screen? Either one?
Okay, I'll share my screen.
All right. Okay, response as a message box. Do you want to create a new worksheet? If yes, worksheets.create is nothing. It's worksheets.add.
Okay.
Syntax is wrong. Worksheets.add with an S. Worksheets with an S.
Rest,
No,
fine.
rest is also not correct. So it's not worksheet.name. You have to tell which worksheet, right? So as soon as you add a worksheet, that becomes your active sheet. So instead of worksheets, write active sheet.name.
Sheet or sheets?
Sheet. Active can only be one sheet. So it's active sheet dot name. And instead of giving a fixed name, put an input box over here to get the name from the end user only.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Ishani, can I share my screen?
Sure.
So I don't know what I did incorrect.
You close the bracket
Hmm?
after the message box. Although all those VBS should be in.
Oh, VB yes, no is a part of it. It's not a plus, it's a comma because you're moving to the second part of the syntax. Comma, yes. And then close a bracket after VB yes, no.
Name should
Wait, let him put.
be a string, no? He's putting as integer. Integer,
Okay.
yes.
This one?
Name is a string value, right? You're typing in text. Name as integer, it should be string in the definition.
Here?
Yep.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Now again run it. I still want to see one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Double quotes. Just no.
You can't write worksheet name.add. Remember, when you add a sheet or you add a workbook, it doesn't have a name. Correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So once you add, and then you can put worksheets in the next line. Active sheet dot name equal to name. Sorry, not worksheets. Active sheet dot name equal to name.
Active sheet
Dot name equal to whatever name you're given.
equals to
Name. Yeah,
Should
because
be
you
in
gave
double
the yes. That's why I keep telling you don't use the keywords.
Yeah.
Not in double quotes. It's going to be just name because it's the name of a variable that you used. So just write name one, change the name of your variable. They make it name one. Yes, name one. In the input box also name one. Now run it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Can you see my also? I'm a little bit confused.
Yes.
Can I share?
Okay. 1 second. Let me stop sharing. All right. Vivek, I don't think so. You're adding WS when you're declaring it as a variable which is going to store an object. How can you take an input box of do you want to add another sheet? That would be a string data type, right? Adding WS. But you've declared the data type as a worksheet, which is an object. And it cannot be worksheets.name WS name because which sheet of this collection? It has to be active sheet.name. Deepika, what you've done is correct. Okay, over here, let me see input box, message box result, I is a string, response. Do you want to add a sheet? Yes, no. If response will be yes, then I is going to input box, enter the name of the sheet, worksheets.add, active sheet, not active sheet.name. And I is going to be without the double quotes because it's a variable.
Active sheet dot name I will be
only I, not double quotes.
Okay, it will take automatically the
and endif. Yes, endif is also
Sir, could you please check mine in message box? Although it's working.
Message box VBS active sheets dot name. Yes, it's fine. Correct.
It's working, although.
Yeah, no, it will work. Now, Ankita, the problem in the program is that even if a person says no, still it will ask for what is the name to be entered and it will try to change the name of the active sheet to another name. Ankita?
Yes.
Okay, so all this thing of getting the name and assigning the name should be in the value of yes only before you end if.
Okay.
Otherwise, even if the response is equal to no, it will still go ahead and execute those two lines, right?
Oh, yes, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shani.
All right. So let me apply it over here. New sheet. So we are asking, do you want to add a new sheet? Do you want to add a new sheet? Let's say I would put it as a question. So VB question. And if the response is equal to VB yes, then I want to add a sheet. How do you add? Worksheets.add. And once it is added, it becomes my active sheet. So active sheet dot name equal to input box. Enter the name of the worksheet. That's it. And then end if. Let me know if you guys have any questions around this.
No questions, Ishani.
No
I think you have used short method than us, steps less than us.
A step less. You create
Yes.
a name for the variable for the sheet. I did not create that. That's the only difference.
For the input name from the user for the worksheet, we use a
We
different variable.
Yes,
I
yes,
was
that's
doing
the
the
only
same
difference.
thing. Then I just thought that, it's very easy, so it might be wrong. So I took the line.
I'm a easy person. All right. So tomorrow onwards, we will start working with our Excel cells. So, in the input box, message box is going to go even lesser in use. Tomorrow onwards, we'll start understanding how to read a Excel cell through the code and how to put a value back in the Excel cell. Okay? How to copy paste, yes.
When do we have our weekly assessment?
The people who has to give for the first time or the second time?
No, the one which was about to held today only, but we have to postpone it, no?
Oh, that we had kept for
Weekly assessment, I think.
Yeah, the weekly assessment that we're going to keep it for 5th. That is Wednesday.
Okay, Shani, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Can you make it to 6th?
Can I make it 6th? Yeah, I don't think so. It should be a problem. We can make it 6th. No issue.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Ishani, I have resubmitted my advanced Excel.
Okay. All right. I will go through it. Within this week, I'll revert on the email.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I've sent on Genpact.
Yeah, I have an access to that. Yes, I have access to that.
Okay. Thank you.
How to counter if the same name is entered as a worksheet is already exists. So Gunjan, typically, if you're giving the same name of the worksheet, it will give you a error. Excel itself gives you an error, right? Then what you can do is you can put like an _1. You will have to put an if function, verify the name against all the names in the worksheet, and if it does not exist, then apply it. Otherwise, same name if you want to use, you use an underscore and append it. Something like that would be there. I'm trying to catch exception on error. Oh, then you can do, but how will you do? So error handling, you can do on error next or error resume. So you can't resume because Excel itself will not allow you to enter the same name. So you can put a non error next and then type in something over there. that if it's an error that you gave the same thing, then the next statement of that you have given the same name could pop up as a message box, and then it can ask the user again for a name. That's something like on error, resume next. We'll talk about that tomorrow, the on error part.
Ishani, one small clarification here.
One second. Let me just read this. Arshad, response message box result. Name is integer. Name is not an integer, Arshad. It's a string data type. So name as string. That's why you're getting a runtime error. But below the runtime error 13, it would have given you a type mismatch. Means that what declaration of the variables you've done versus what you're trying to store in it is incorrect. Yes, somebody had a question?
Yes, Ishani, it's me.
Yes, Neil.
Ishani, here we are adding the sheet. Just we are giving the worksheets dot add. So it is adding wherever the active sheet is there. But if suppose my workbook is have suppose 55, how many sheets it have? I don't know currently. Okay, so how can I go and add new sheet in the lost?
Yeah. Okay, so how would you know how many sheets are there?
It's count.
Count, right?
Yes.
So it would be worksheets dot add, and after colon equal to
worksheets.com.
Worksheets dot count.
Okay.
That's it. Right? So right now, for example, over here, when they are, it's after sheet 2, it will get added now. So let me make the active sheet as sheet 1. And when I run this program, F5, it's straight away added at after sheet 2 in the 8th position.
Okay.
Sheet 8.
Okay. Got it.
So this will add, it will count how many sheets are at, and we are saying after this count, you put it.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Ishani. Yeah.
All right.
And one more thing in password sometime. Ishani, we used to say passwords which have special character. Can we use here also?
As in
sometime it shows password should have special character, strength and length.
You mean validation?
Right.
Yes, you can. How do you want to use the validation? As in, like, where do you want to put validation in the cell?
We have to create a program in which we have to use ask the user to input the password should have special characters like that.
See, all those special characters and the alphabets and all, you will have to work with something called ASCII codes. Okay. So without ASCII codes, it will be I think it will be little tough. Right? So what are the special characters? What are the ASCII codes of it? And then we can allow, we'll have to check. We have to extract each and every alphabet or each and every character of the password and validate it against all the ASCII codes that we have. That it could be a number, it could be an alphabet. Now capital A has a different ASCII code versus a small a, right? And similarly, a colon will have a different ASCII code. For example, over here, if I do this function called char and I give 65, that gives me capital A. And if I continue 66, 67, that will give me the entire series of this one, ABCD. So based on that, you will be able to do it. Otherwise, I don't think so. You can. So you will have to work with the ASCII codes because that's what computer will understand.
Okay.
Because that's easier, right? Instead of checking individually A, B, C, if I know capital A starts at 65 and there are how many alphabets?
26.
26. So 91. So if I give char and 91, okay, so one less, right? -1, 26. It gives me capital Z. So I can say the ASCII code is between this to this. Then it's a capital A. So it's easier to check rather than doing capital A, capital B, capital C checking and then small a, b, c checking of it. Right? Go to check. On error, go to check if yes. Set the name. Worksheet set name. And if exit sub. Check. Okay. Yeah. It could be on resume, on error, resume next, or on error, go to next. So on error, what is the logical error here? Hold on. I'll have to copy. All right. If anybody wants to leave, they can. I'm going to cover this part of error tomorrow. Oh, you can't copy from here. Hold on. Application display alerts, name as string, AS answer as VB message box, WS at worksheet. Answer message box is going to, do you want a new worksheet? Yes, no. On error, go to check. Check is what? Message box, the same name already exists. WS.delete. Why WS.delete?
It would add the sheet first. Since we are in my code, it is adding the sheet, then it is checking, then it is renaming the sheet. So definitely it will add a new sheet.
No, but why are you deleting and then asking for the name again?
Oh, that way. Yes, we can resume from the renaming part. Yep.
So you're saying it already exists. So the only thing it should do is, it should just ask the name again, right?
Yep, exactly.
Just overwrite on that. Name is equal to input box, enter the sheet name. Just write name equal to input box, enter the sheet, and that's it. Why delete it? And do you also need to use the word resume? I don't think so.
Yes, we will be resuming from the same line. ws.name is name. It worked.
Okay.
Delete was the part which was causing automation error.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully my head and my throat and my nose all come back to senses, because I feel very low in energy today. So hopefully tomorrow will be